Hello, yes, that's right. It's Joe here, live for Joyrider TV, back with some more very interesting Q&A topics about catamaran sailing. Yes, that's right. We're going to spend the next hour or so talking about catamaran sailing. The Q&A live is a session which is recorded live every week, with a live audience in the live chat firing away with some very interesting questions about catamaran sailing. If you're not here watching live, then you can put any questions that you have in the description below, in the comments below, and I'll get back to you with the, I'll come up with an answer to your question in the next week's Q&A. So there we go. Or you could put a question in any of the videos that you see on Joyrider TV, and I do review all of the comments in the videos, on all of the videos. So you could put a comment on there asking a question, and I will answer that question in next week's Q&A. Oh yes, I will. All right, so just checking in with everybody who's tuning in live. We've got Leland Lee in Clearwater, Florida. Hello, Lee. Always there on a Friday morning. Great to have you with us. Also in Florida, we've got Jill in St. Petersburg. Nice to have Florida on board. I hope that it's all cooking over there at this time. We've also got Jack, who's got a few questions. Question number one. Can you tell us more about the race with 700 boats you mentioned when I was talking to Sam Holmes, and other big fleet regattas that you've attended? Yeah, the regatta with 700 boats is called the Round Texel race. That's Texel spelled like that, and that is traditionally the biggest catamaran race in the world for the amount of participants involved. When I sailed that race, it was I've only ever done it once, which was back in, I think, 2006, and on that occasion it was something close to 700 boats on the start line. It is around an island which is just in the north of Holland, and the length of the race is somewhere in the vicinity of, I would have to check this, but I'm pretty sure it's about 100 kilometers or miles. Can't remember if it was one or the other. And it's a complete round of the island of Texel. And it's just, if you get the good wind for the event, fortunately I did when I did the race. It is an absolutely amazing thing to be a part of, whatever sort of position you are in the fleet, because you're always amongst masses of boats, just charging. We had good wind. We had about 16 to 18 knots, I think, when I did it. And the first leg was like a upwind leg, nice rolling swell. Second leg, we turned off, put the spinnakers up, and went charging down the next side of the island. And then the next leg was beam reach, totally flat. So it was like blowing offshore of the island. So it was very similar to what we'd been training here in Vasiliki Bay. And then finished off with some more upwind sailing. And we finished the race in 3 hours and 1 minute. And it's almost a claim to fame. It's a bit of a, what would you call it? A lofty claim, that I can actually claim that I was first in the Hobie Tiger fleet at that race. it wasn't because I was the first Hobie Tiger. Oh no. But back then in 2006, that is still when the Hobie Tiger was the dominating force in the Formula 18 world. But because of time constraints, I didn't actually register for Formula 18. So my results went in as Hobie Tiger class. And for the non-Formula 18 registered boats, I actually came first. Well done, me. And that was with good friend of mine, Tim, who was pulling the strings and making it go. Yeah, so that was an absolutely great event. I believe Texel is usually mid to late June on your calendar. So definitely worthwhile getting involved with that. The only other big fleet regattas I've attended, the biggest was certainly the first ever Dart 18 World Championships, which was in Wales, where there were over 300 boats on one start line. You may think, yeah, but Texel, you said 700 on one start line. Yeah, but that start line was massive, and we were starting to walk between two enormous ships, and the starting sequence was done from a helicopter with smoke signals, whereas the Dart 18 Worlds was like any normal regatta where we had a committee boat where the flags were and a pin end, and then the start line was so big, unbelievable. That was quite an amazing event as well. The other big fleet events that I've been involved with have been the first two Hobie Tiger World Championships, because back in the day, the Hobie Tiger really did have a double-edged sword of appeal, because you could race Formula 18 in the Hobie Tiger class, but you could also race in Hobie Tiger only class, where the first two world championships, both held on Lake Garda, Italy, both with over 100 boats. And I'd have to say they are the two best events I've ever been to. The conditions were great, but just to have that many boats, all identical, the vibe and the atmosphere was absolutely brilliant, because I think a lot of the competitors were coming from the Hobie 16 way of life. So very much we're going to sail the races, and then we're going to go out into Torbay and have a lovely time in the evening as well. So the social was amazing, but the racing was fantastic. To have so many of the same type of boats, all Tigers, all charging, kites up, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so those are the two biggest fleets that I've been involved with. I did do a Dart 18 Nationals in the UK as well, which had, I think, nearly 100 boats. But that was about it. Cheers. All right. So we've got Jord tuning in from Amsterdam. Great to have you with us. Cux Ollie is on board. Hey ho, says Ollie there. Nice to have you with us. All right, Jack has got question number 2. Can you tell us about your sailing background and why you started sailing, and about what you want to achieve in the future? Wow, this is these are some pretty deep and challenging questions. Yeah, so what was my sailing background? Okay, so when I was about 12 years old, I was getting into some trouble at school, like people do, and it was largely being attributed to the fact that I was very much involved in the sport of skateboarding, which had a slightly more rebellious edge than sailing boats. Now, my dad, who was a competitive yacht racer back in those days, he decided that getting me involved with some sailing would certainly straighten me out somewhat. And it happened that one of the teachers at the school, he had a Wayfarer dinghy, and the school had access to some mirror dinghies as well, small open sailing dinghies, very old fashioned, made of wood. So he got me involved with some sailing lessons from the maths teacher at school, who really, it changed my life massively, because immediately I was into it. So started off with this kind of dinghy sailing through the school, and then very quickly through the sailing club at Felixstowe Ferry on the east coast of England, I got involved with the club racing there, and pretty early on, when I was starting to sail, I got a position crewing on a Dart 18 catamaran. And the Dart 18 fleet wasn't massive. We used to get 5 boats out at the sailing club at a weekend, but I do every single one. And then we travel around that region of the UK doing open meetings and competitions. So I really got quite a lot of experience quite quickly at the front end of the boat. And then pretty soon after that, a Dart 18 catamaran came up for sale at the club on the notice board for just £400, which is pretty much the smallest amount of money back then that you could find any sort of catamaran that would float for. So I'd been doing an after school job. I also just did a lot of persuasive scrounging for my parents, grandparents, managed to get the money together, got hold of that boat, and then from then on, the rest, it was almost like the rest was history. I sailed that boat pretty much every single day, and gradually replaced the parts of that boat and kept that boat right up until when I started working out in Greece. Before I was working in Greece at Wildwind Sailing Holidays as an instructor, I was working at Grafham Water in the UK, which was one of the main catamaran teaching establishments in the UK, working for a chap called Brian Phipps, who actually was the guy who wrote the book on catamaran sailing. So I learned a lot from him, and another chap called Pat, who was my immediate manager, who was actually Dart 15 national champion many times. So really a lot of experience came to me from working then. And then just the last 28 years working for Wildwind Sailing Holidays on the Vasiliki Beach. And when I first started working at Wildwind, that was just when the Hobie Tiger had been released out of its cage. And I was very quickly put into the driving seat of that boat as the sort of specialist on the Tiger. So I spent probably in the first 10 years of the Tiger being out in the wild, let's call it, I probably had more hours sailing that boat than anybody else on the planet. I was sailing it literally, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours a day, every day, apart from maybe one day off, sailing that during the summers. And yeah, that's how my experience with that type of boat came along. But of course, at the same time, the Hobie 16 was always there tempting me, especially if it was stronger wind as well. So there we go. What do you want to achieve in the future? Yeah, immediate future, as you may or may not know, just yesterday, in fact, was my last day working for Wildwind Sailing Holidays. So I am now full-time, just YouTube videos are pretty much my full-time thing at the moment. But and that is what I want to proceed with in the future. But of course, I have to make it work financially. So hopefully I'll be able to generate a bit more revenue from some affiliate deals with various equipment manufacturers, and hopefully some boat manufacturers might be getting involved and sending me some boats to work with in the future. So I think that is pretty much the vibe of where I'm going. Thanks for your questions there, Jack. All right, we've got Hanny on board. Hello, Hanny. Also in Amsterdam, channel member Hanny. She was just here, in fact, right here, just, what was it? Just less than 1 week ago. Amazing. And now in a completely different country. Cheers. All right. So Jack, question number 3. Jack says, what's the crack with the band? All right. So yes, I play music as well as doing sailing. You might just see a few bits of evidence behind there. With the band, you are a drummer, I reckon. Have you got a name and some links to music and or socials? Can I jam with you? I play guitar. No, I do play the drums, but I'm not the drummer in the band. I play guitar in the band. And yes, if you look for sorry, I'll just have to check what the channel's called, but I should know. I think it's called I have got a YouTube channel where this sort of stuff goes. Sorry for the hold up here. Yeah, you should be able to find it from what I am doing here. Yes, but yes, and yes. It's called JBMGT or Joyrider Music, at Joyrider Music. There you go. All right, nice one, Jack. Thanks for the questions. Next in on the live chat, we've got Mr. Ollie Smith himself. Great to hear from you, Ollie. Hope you're doing well. As I'm sure you'll be aware, the season has just finished here, Vasiliki, Greece, and that's me done. Yeah, amazing, shocking at the same time. I've still got the Tornado Bad Boy 94 built in the boat park, so that is ready to go. So hopefully next week I'll start having some time to get out on that bad boy. But in the meantime, main thing going on Joyrider TV at the moment is I've got the mother of all edits going on, where I went out Tiger versus C2. I know it sounds so simple, but we had the telemetry running on both boats, so we've got the telemetry, the speedo running side by side, so you can actually see in real time what the speed differences were on the different boats. And I think it's going to be a really interesting video to watch. But I actually had, I think, 7 cameras, plus 2 lots of telemetry, plus a microphone, plus other stuff. So the edit is taking over my life somewhat. But maybe I will have that ready. Hopefully, I'll have that ready to go out on Sunday. So keep an eye out for that. All right, we've got Benny on board in Sweden, I believe. My Hobie 18 in winter mood. Okay, we've got Mr. Tony KP on board as well in Denmark, I think. Nice to have you with us. Toot is here. Toot is here in Texas. Yes, if you want to exciting news just in, Toot, but Show Us Your Cat will be returning by the end of the month. Oh yes, it will. So Show Us Your Cat, new schedule for Show Us Your Cat. Not sure what it is, but when I'm sure, I'll let you know. But I'm aiming to get the first new episode of Show Us Your Cat out by the end of the month. If you want to submit anything to Show Us Your Cat, please send it to, just put it in the live chat right now, Total Joyrider. I'm not putting in a live chat right now. Sorry, mechanical breakdown. But it's Total Joyrider at iCloud.com. So just send me an email with some information about the boat which you'd like to have shown in Show Us Your Cat. And then if your pictures and if you've got some video as well, that's great. But if it's too big to email, I use WeTransfer.com, where you can transfer up to 2 gigabytes at a time. And that works really well. All right, we got Spicy Fist 1 on board. Was going to go back to work, but sod it, Cat Chat wins. Well, I'm glad that the decision wasn't too hard between work or talking about cat sailing. Great to have you with us there. We've got channel member Russell on board. Great to have you with us, Russell, as always. Yeah, I think, Russell, I think you will be interested with this C2 versus Hobie Tiger video coming out. Russell says, I learned from Sam's video that you were a kiteboarder. Didn't know that previously. That's pretty cool. Yes, it is. The good thing, all right, the time when kite surfing comes before the cat sailing is sometimes it's just more practical. The great thing with kite surfing is it packs up really small. Like you just have a backpack and a board, and you can have it just sitting in the boot of the car. So if I happen to be at the north end of the island and the wind is on, then I can just pump up that bad boy and get out. And it's nice just to absolutely shred it up and down, big air, nice turns, some tasteful moves, throwing some shapes, that kind of thing. Yeah, I really do enjoy the kite surfing very much. And one of the unique things with kite surfing over pretty much every other wind-powered water sport is, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the only one where you have a complete panoramic view. Because when you're kite surfing, you've got your bar like here, and you've just got bits of string coming off the bar, whereas everything else, you've got a sail somewhere obscuring your vision. So with kite surfing, nothing in your vision, so you've got the full panorama, which I do like that a lot. Whereas on the sailing boat, you've got a sail in your face. On the windsurf board, sail in your face. Winging, sail in your face. Anything else that uses the wind, you've generally got a sail in your face, or somehow. All right, we got Raymond on board. Hey, Joyrider, nice to have you with us. I've got an old 16 trampoline. What kind of wire would you suggest to fix it so that it lasts for a few more years? Now, do you mean that the trampoline actually needs repairing, or what would you use to lace that bad boy when you put it on the boat? So if generally a Hobie 16 trampoline would be 3 pieces like that, and then you've got the rear beam here, a sidebar there, front beam there for kind of like your trampoline frame. So answering what I think you're asking, what would I use to lace the trampoline? So the lacing would go like this. And then like this. I wouldn't go for a rope any smaller. Yes, I'd use rope rather than wire. But I wouldn't use any rope smaller than 5 mil, because it's just evil on the hands using anything smaller than 5 mil. This goes for any other types of boat which have tramp lacing like this. If you've got a boat which has, here's a trampoline, generally a one-piece trampoline, and there you've got the back beam, and it laces kind of like up here like this. So these are the two main different types of tramp lacing. If it's like this, I would use a 5 mil rope, and to be honest, a quality 5 mil rope with a polyester core is adequate for doing this, because there's no movement in the rope once you've tightened it up, which means it doesn't need to be as strong as Dyneema, and maybe even having that little bit of give. Maybe that's a little bit more kind on the cringles for the lacing. You could, of course, use a 5 mil rope with a Dyneema core, but it's just going to be significantly more expensive for the rope. Polyester cord rope is generally a lot cheaper. Then if you're running this type of trampoline lacing, then such as like on a Hobie Tiger, for example, then I would use a 3 mil Dyneema without an outer on it. Now, the reason I do that is because this rope slips a lot more easily against the metal of the beam, so it's easier to get it tighter. And then, of course, that Dyneema is not going to stretch. So there we go. All right. So I've got, just to explain what's going on here behind the scenes, I've actually got two computers going on at the moment. I've got the new computer, Bad Boy 1, but unfortunately, I still haven't got a suitable webcam solution. I was trying to use GoPro webcam. I tried to get it working again today, didn't work. So I had to bring out the old computer to do the live stream with, as it's a laptop with a built-in webcam. So I'm sometimes getting confused between two lots of interface to poke. There we go. So Jack says, are many people doing the Texel single-handed? Well, back when I was doing it, you weren't allowed to do it single-handed because it's a long-distance race. And as we know, if you're single-handed and you fall off the boat, there's no one on the boat who could come and pick you up. So I'm not sure if they've changed the rules. I know, in fact, they must have changed the rules, because I know this year there was a fleet of Hobie 14s getting involved in the round Texel race. So that must mean, yes, you can now do it single-handed. Thanks for the question there. All right. Toot says, hit that thumbs up button, please. Yes, please do, because it's hitting the thumbs up button that puts me in more favor with YouTube, which means it makes it more viable for this decision that I just made to quit my job to do this. Makes it seem less daft. So there we go. All right. And Jack says, and what's up with the finger? I was doing my young boy, Harry, had the day off school today because of local elections. So we were doing some graffiti. Yes, we were. And some of it didn't make it onto the canvas. All right. Just still in the live chat. All right, where are we? All right, so Jack says Bridlington Dart Worlds were 100 odd boats a month ago. Yeah, I heard it was pretty chilly. That's what I heard. All right, and we've got channel member Declan on board. Hello, Declan. He says, shiver me timbers, but it is getting cold out on the waves. Yeah, still, I'd have to say, pretty champagne here in Vasiliki at the moment. Yeah, so pretty nice. So looking forward to getting some action. And maybe, you know, this is just a little teaser, but perhaps somebody has already put a new boat in the post to come out for my testing review and good times here on the Greek island. So looking forward to a bit of that. But I'm not going to let any cat out of the bag until the bag with the cat arrives on my doorstep. If that makes any sense to you, then well done. You are speaking my language. All right. Raymond says, it's the ring of the trampoline that are about to fall a piece of my 16, quite an old, cheap trampoline, but would like to keep it more years. And if you know, there's a good wire that resists the salt and water. Yeah, I think Raymond, I'm not quite tuned in to the type of trampoline that you have. So best thing would be if you email me a picture, totaljoyrider@icloud.com. Then I'll take a look at the picture and then I'll be able to give you some advice there. But as it stands, I'm not quite visualizing what it is that you've got going on. All right, Ollie says, Bad Boy 94 belongs in the boat park, not in the yoga tent. Absolutely, you are quite right. And definitely not in the yoga tent, because I will not be involved with unloading that bad boy next year. So I'm not going to put my boat in there where it might be manhandled in a way that would make me otherwise raise an eyebrow. Oh, yes. Yeah, it's going to live either in the boat park or then during the winter season here for the winter sports, I will have it on the trailer with a cover outside the house, I think. All right, Declan says, next week I'm going to de-rig my getaway for the winter, full de-rig this year. Will you be doing a wear and tear report series? Wear and tear report series. Yeah, we did talk about this. I can't remember what it was. I'll have to have a poke at what it was that you suggested already, Declan. I think yes, sorry, I can't answer that right now. But so before Declan takes his getaway apart, I think it is worth saying at this stage in the game, the getaway speed stick challenge. Can I pull this up somewhere? Totaljoyrider.com. The getaway speed stick challenge. Let's just take a look and see who is leading that at the moment. I believe it might be Declan. I'm just scrolling. Yes, with a speed of 19.9 knots, Declan is still the fastest getaway on the speed stick. And you heard it here first that Declan is about to put his boat away, which means if you're perhaps in Mission Bay, San Diego, and you want to win the speed stick challenge, once Declan's put his boat away, I dare say the water will be frozen in Sweden. So Declan will have to fly to San Diego to continue that challenge if someone sticks in a bigger speed, or if the guys in Maui, if they're getting out there to have a look. So good luck with that, and good luck with you hanging on to that, Declan, to see if you are going to win that sweet Malcheski tiller extension. All right, question 2. If you had the option of an FX1 or a Tiger, which would you choose as a solo sailor? I'd say that's easy. I would choose a FX1 every time because it's a single-handed boat. I do like to think that apart from the Hobie 16, which I think lends itself very well to single-handed and double-handed sailing, other than that, I do like to treat boats as they were intended. So the Tiger was designed and built as a double-handed boat, and that is how I like to treat her. Whereas the FX1, designed first as a single-hander and then second as an add-on, it was made into an FX1 too, so that it could be sailed with 2 people. Now, the only other bit to this answer would be, if you are ever going to be sailing with 2 people, the FX1 doesn't really want more than about 140 kilograms on board, whereas of course the Tiger has got loads of volume, so you can take as much weight on there as you like. But I would say FX1 because it is a dedicated single-hander, and it's, as you know, it is a great boat. Toot says Lake Buchanan Sailing Club has 2 16s for traveling sailors. There we go. So if you're heading that way, I believe that's in Texas, then 2 16s up, ready to be sailed. So Raymond says, yes, the rings need repairing, not the lacing. Yeah, so these rings in the trampoline, I would, if it was me, I would take the trampoline to a sailmaker who would then put the correct rings into the trampoline. And new rings in the trampoline, if you get the surrounding area reinforced as well. So like we'll have these rings would be all the way along here. If we got some new reinforcement put in there and there and there and there, and maybe even in there, and then new rings put into that reinforcement, that trampoline is going to last. Well, that part of the trampoline will last at least another 10 years. But you don't know if the cloth has already started to go a little bit, then, you know, it might start getting a few other bits over it. But that the lacing will last for a long time. All right, Declan gives a +1 for slow canvas for trampolines. Yes, if you're in the US, then definitely sounds like a good deal there. All right. So we've got on board Eddie and Saul's adventures. I believe this is the first time hearing from Eddie and Saul there. Says your mate Quinty is currently an instructor at my sailing club. Great stuff. Yeah, Quinty is one of the all-time heroes / legends of the Wild Wind Beach here in Vasiliki, Lefkas, Greece. Just wondering, was he ever in an old video? And if so, can you remember any of the videos he was in? No, off the top of my head, I think Quinty stopped working here by the time I'd started making the videos. So unfortunately, I'll do a bit of research and come back next Friday and ask if I found anything. But as far as I can remember, unfortunately not. Quinty didn't get a feature in any of the videos. All right, but I hope you're doing well there down in Brighton, I think it is, isn't it? But you're very lucky to have Quinty on board as an instructor. Yes, he is not a run-of-the-mill gentleman, but yes, he has got so much to offer, and he'll put everything in to whatever it is he's doing. All right, we've got Brandon on board. Hello, I'm racing tomorrow in 13-degree temperatures, 16 to 20 knots of wind. I have a 3 mil wetsuit. How would you suggest I layer clothing to prepare for the race? Yeah, all right. So if you've got a 3 mil wetsuit and it's going to be pretty chilly, what I would do is put on, if you've got one, like a long sleeve or even a short sleeve, anything, a lycra underneath, it is going to help. And then I would put a spray top on over the top. That is going to help. If you've got some waterproof trousers as well, that is going to help, because the spray top, the waterproof trousers, they're going to help to stop you from getting any wind chill through the wetsuit. Because even though you've got 3 mil of rubber protecting you, once it's wet, the wind is going to come through a bit. So I would go for that. So something underneath, like wear your best long swimming trunks if you've got some, or compression shorts, and then put spray top, waterproof trousers, some good wetsuit boots if you've got some, and wear a hat, like a woolly hat or a neoprene hat. It's all going to help. There we go. All right, Leland Lee says, what about adding a spinnaker on a Hobie 14? Asking for a friend. Oh my word. Yeah, you could do. If there's no reason why not. But like when I've been talking about the 16 or retrofitting a spinnaker to a lot of different boats, the time when it is going to make things better is sailing downwind when it's not so windy. If you're going to be sailing more in a strong wind, I wouldn't bother on a boat which already is an absolute machine on the downwind courses. That is what I would say. If you're going to do some long distance sailing and you want to cover more distance, then yes, put a spinnaker on the boat. But if you're just into going out blasting when it's windy, if your boat hasn't already got a spinnaker on it, I would probably not bother. It's a lot of bits to find. All right, so we've got Michael on board. First time. Yes, I thought so. Well, it's great to have you on board in the live chat, Michael. I hope you're having a great day. And you've got a good weekend panned out in front of you. All right, we've got Keith on board. He says, I like the shirt. Yes, I like this one too. I think, between you and me, Keith, I think this is one of the best designs that I've done. Incidentally, all of the stuff on the Total Joyrider website, which incidentally is where you can find the merch, Total Joyrider.com is where you find the merch. This one's called Tequila Sunset. Yeah, I think it's a good design. But I do all of the designs of all of the merch on totaljoyrider.com. Anything that you purchase from there, it really does help support the channel and my new unemployed lifestyle. And these things make great presents as well. Everything on there. Got t-shirts, hoodies, hats. Could probably knock out a pair of socks if that is what you were looking for. Yeah, there you go. All right. And Raymond says, what is the mail again? Send the picture. All right, this is pretty easily changed. This is the website, totaljoyrider.com. The email address is totaljoyrider@icloud.com. At icloud.com, Total Joyrider. There you go. All right, yeah, so get us a picture there, Raymond, and I'll have a look. All right, Lauren says, any tips to reduce humming on a Hobie 15 with the plastic Lexan rudders? Yeah, I've never had much success there, to be honest, because those Lexan rudder blades, they are just vibration machines. You could try just having a look at the trailing edge of the rudder, and I think sometimes on the Lexans they kind of come together like that, and then there's a bit of a ridge. This is looking from the top, bit of a ridge on the back edge, and it's not gonna hurt, so you might as well try take some reasonably rough sandpaper, like a bit of 500 or 400, and just give that, like with a block like that, sandpaper, and just go along the length of it and just see if you can take that little bit of ridge off the back edge of the rudder blade, and that might do enough to help. The other things you can do is just make sure that the rudder blade doesn't wobble in the stock at all, because that's going to help to take those reverberations down from between the rudder blade and the boat. What you could also do, this is a 16 stock, so the stock on the 15 is the open style where this is all open. But what we did on a lot of our open stocks was we took some rubber. When I say we, I mean me. I took some rubber and glued it into these edges, and that really helps to get rid of that vibration, if you've got enough room in the stock, that is, of course. All right, so yeah, I hope that helps. I'm sure it will help. If you've got enough room in your rudder stock, if you can glue some rubber in there, like the thin, they call it Pro Grip. It's like the rubber grip they use on monohulls. I used some contact adhesive to stick it in, cut the shapes out. Then, yeah, work well. Like if you sail a Hobie Tiger, a Hobie 15, a Hobie 18 Classic, anything with these open shape rudder stocks where the rudder stock looks like this, and then the rudder pin goes down through here, the rudder blade goes in there. If you've got enough room in your rudder stock, I would highly recommend sticking some rubber on the inside. Makes a massive difference. You'll have to find the right thickness of rubber though, and I found soft rubber is better than harder rubber. All right, we got Brian in Mission Bay. Yes, the reason I said Mission Bay for getaway sailing is because somebody sent me a lot of pictures from Mission Bay while they're there on their holidays, and there was quite a few hire centres which offered Hobie getaways. Looks like Michael is also in San Diego, so you know, could be a little boost in rentals in Mission Bay for some speed records. Toot says, next year, can we have a wave class on the speed stick? Yeah, I think that's a very good shout, actually, Toot, because we haven't been getting a lot of action from the Hobie wave sailors. And so, yes, but what I was going to do is a special prize for the fastest yellow Hobie 16, because that really entertains me. I might even try to get hold of a yellow one myself and see if I can put in a speed. You know, I might change a few parts, but no. All right, I'll stay out of it. I'll tell you what. There we go. All right, so Declan with the wear and tear series. Sorry, Declan, I know you've explained this to me, but I've had a lot on, and I'm not very good at remembering things really. A boat type by type report on what owners might see after a season of use. Wildwind boats have such a high usage. They are the bellwethers for Club Joyrider members. Yes. Yeah, I could tell you a thing or two about what lasts and what doesn't last for sure. All right, and keeping that in mind, Declan, we'll come on to that. All right, so we've got Aaron on board in New Zealand, slept in. Yeah, it's probably 4 a.m. over there at the moment. Declan says, spinnaker on a Hobie 14 sounds like a dredging operation. All right, we've got Andrew on board. Nice to hear from you, Andrew. Andrew says, I'll be in Athens next summer. What is the best way to get out to your bay? What options for cat sailing are available? Videos have really helped this year. Andy from, would that be PA? Is that Pennsylvania, USA? Yes, so from Athens, Greece, to get to Vasiliki, Lefkas, Greece, what you would want to do is get the cheapest option, which is also pretty painless, quite nice, is to get a bus from Athens to Lefkas Island. So that is, Lefkas is the English spelling of the word, or in Greek it is Lefkada. Oh, my pens. So I did get some new pens, but or in Greek hieroglyphics would be like that, because when you put the E and the U sound together, it makes a ev, so it's Levkada, like that. That's what you see on the front of your bus. Yeah, so get the bus from Athens to Lefkada, and then there's a local bus that goes from the bus station in Lefkas town down here. The bus from Athens would probably take about 5 hours, and then to get from the top of the island down to us here in the south is about, I don't know how long it is on the bus. It must be a good 45 minutes. Or you could, if you're feeling a bit flush, just get a taxi, or yeah, bus or taxi are the best options. Or you could just rent a car from Athens, which you can get pretty good deals like everywhere in the world, and then drive down here. It gives you loads of freedom and options. There's some pretty cool stuff to see between Athens and here. So there we go. All right, Lauren says, thank you. We'll try that before splashing out on some White Knights or EPO 3s. Yes, that is quite an investment on the Hobie 15. But what that'll be one for next year for me. How fast can we go on a Hobie 15? I'm pretty sure I've had one up to 20 knots before, but that really is sending it. Sorry. All right. Toot says, I also have a Tequila Sunrise Hobie 14 Turbo. Nice. Oh, yes. All right. So 54 minutes gone. I'm going to ask no more questions in the live chat, but unless it comes accompanied with a super chat or a super sticker, which you can find at the bottom of the live chat. I have got some preloaded questions just to go through. So those are the only questions I'm going to be answering now. Anything else, you'll have to come back next week, because we have been going 54 minutes now, and that is long enough. So in the preloaded, I've got a question from Nano Sailing, who says, how do you remove the old rubber grip? All right, so the old rubber grip, I think the stuff that really is the hardest to remove is the rubber grip on the sidebars of a boat like a Hobie 16 or a Hobie 14. That stuff pretty much becomes part of the metal. Now, the way that I go about removing the rubber grip is perhaps even a 3-phase removal process. The first part is to get rid of the majority of it. And what I do is I take, there's nothing that does it better than a Stanley knife blade, a new one, if you can pop down to a hardware shop. And Stanley knife blade looks like, this is the first Stanley knife blade I've drawn, and I think that's pretty good. Yeah, so it's pretty agricultural thing to do with your boat. But if you take the blade like that, and then this is not a Stanley knife blade, but, and then what can I use as a so if the rubber grip is on here, we just go like that quite a lot. And if you get a big bit that you can peel off, great, but you just do that. And really don't be afraid to scratch the surface underneath, because you're going to be sticking some new rubber on there, which means if it gets scratched, it's not an issue, might even help. So that is phase 1. Phase 2 is we've got to start trying to get the glue off. Continue with the Stanley knife blade as much as you can cope with to get the glue off. But then what I would use is some WD-40, or you could use some petrol, some gasoline, but I find WD-40 does a great job on removal of old glue. So get some WD-40 off on there, and then keep going with the Stanley knife blade, or you can take the WD-40 plus that's a cloth, and really rub it with the cloth to get it off. And then phase 3 is to take some sandpaper. Like, again, I'd go with a 400 or a 240, or something in between, and finish it off with that, so that basically if you're going to put new rubber on your boat, the cleaner you get it before, it's going to mean that your new rubber is going to stay on there for longer and be better. Now, somebody did ask me if you're putting rubber grip on, say, on a Hobie Tiger or something similar, and these boats have got like a painted on grip beforehand, if you try just putting adhesive over the top of some grip that's on there already, it's not going to stick very well. So you do need to sand it back. Declan says heat gun to remove the glue. Yeah, I reckon that worked really nicely. And in fact, I don't know why I've never tried that, Declan. That sounds like a absolute that's a winner. Yeah, get a blowtorch, really go heat gun or a blowtorch to remove the glue. And in fact, when I was taking, I've never done it with grip, I've done it with stickers, using a hairdryer to loosen them up. That worked really well. Acetone, says Brian. It all works, definitely. But for me, I like the WD-40. That has a very good a good result for me. Yeah, but if you're putting rubber grip on something that's got like painted on grip, you need to sand it down first. Otherwise, you're not getting the surface area for the glue to adhere onto. Yeah, flamethrower would really deal with the tricky stuff. Yeah, I could agree there. All right, we've got some great suggestions on removing glue. Brake cleaner, it evaporates to leave clean surface, says David. Yeah, thanks for that, David. Is that from like would that be like car brake cleaner or for motorbikes, or is it all the same stuff? But great suggestions there, guys. Thanks very much for that. So that is what I'm gonna leave that one there with the getting rid of old stuff to put on some new stuff. There we are. So next question in the preloaded question department comes from Brian, who sails a Spitfire, which is a 16-foot performance catamaran with a spinnaker, dagger boards. Now, unfortunately, while sailing recently, Brian and his crew, Jill, capsized, and there was serious injury during the capsize. So Brian asks, how do you prepare for a capsize while you're on the trapeze to avoid injury when falling? So if we take a look at the boat from above, you can talk amongst yourselves while I'm drawing a picture. There's the dagger boards there. We've got the cross beams, rudders at the back, bowsprit. Yeah, so the three main types of capsize, and I think we'll trapeze up here today. So three main types of capsize would be, first one, the sideways. So if it's going to be a sideways capsize, the natural course of people from the trapeze is going to be down this way, where there are quite a lot of things to hit, especially for the crew. So if we just talk about sideways capsize first, this is probably the most fraught with danger, because if you're the helm, let's get rid of him first because he's the easy one to talk about. The helm, if you're doing a sideways capsize, one of the things that's going to happen if you capsize sideways is the boat is going to slow down and stop pretty aggressively, which is going to have you going forwards a bit. So if you can brace against that forward pull while the boat is capsizing, that is really going to help you. And what helps during a capsize, if you're on the trapeze, is a bit of a directed boost from the trapeze. So as the helm, and to a degree as the crew, in fact, as the crew as well, what we're going to try to do is boost towards the back of the mainsail. Like this. So, but before you boost, you really have to know that you are going. But the place where we absolutely don't want to go is anywhere down here. So this is our capsizing no-go zone from the trapeze. There is so much going on down there that the likelihood of falling down there and not hurting yourself is pretty slim. You have got, do I need to list what we've got going on down there? Probably not, but the mast is the main bit. Then we've got the bowsprit, we've got the jib, the forestay. There's a lot going on. So we want to do everything we can to not go down there. So option number one, or the first option, maybe not number one, is to, when you definitely know that you're going and you're on the trapeze, just try to jump towards the back. Now, the helm has to make sure he's leaving enough space for the crew to get in there as well. So that is option number one. Option number two might be to kind of grab hold of, to bend the knees when you know it's going. If it's not too much of a violent one where it just gets slammed, bend your knees so you come closer into the boat and grab hold of the boat. Maybe you grab hold of, if your boat has got a nice lip on the gunnel where the sidewall meets the deck, like that, grab hold here. And just, if you can grab hold to something, then you could lower your feet down onto the boom. And then once your feet are on the boom, you can then kind of just lie flat on the mainsail and then just roll off the back of the mainsail. It's another good option. But we're basically trying to avoid going into this area here. Can be quite tricky, but yeah, have the crew holding on to something which is at the back, like the traveller. If the crew isn't playing the main sheet, then the traveller control line is a good option, something for the crew to be holding on to stop them going forwards. But that is the worst situation in a capsize, is the sideways double trapezing, I would say. Now, second method of capsize is the pitch pole, where we're sticking the bow in, boat stops very suddenly. This is the easiest one to deal with if you're on the trapeze. But what is important is that you make sure that there's nothing that's going to restrict you from going forwards. So you haven't got a rope wrapped around your hand 5 times coming from the back of the boat. Just be holding anything so you can let go. And then in the event of a pitch pole, you just want to boost outwards a little bit to get away from the side of the boat, and then you'll basically fly in front of the boat and plop into the water just in front. There we go. That's the easy one. And then the other one is the backwards capsize, which is the most gentle. You're most likely to capsize if helm and crew get washed off the back of the boat and end up back here. This is one which can be quite hilarious because you're in the water off the back, and if you're already in the water, you're going to be all right. But in any capsize, if it's from the trapeze, that suggests it's reasonably windy, which means you do want to be holding on to a part of the boat once you're in the water. So if I've pitch poled or gone off the back, what I'll do is I'll unhook from the trapeze, but hold on to the trapeze line, just because I know that is going to keep me attached to the boat if I've got a bit of distance away. All right, there we go. All right, so back in the live chat, Declan says, I was waiting for a new salad dressing recipe. Okay, coming up after the winter, I'm sure. Jack says, is there a Sun Gods discount code? Need some for British winter plus some skiing goggles soon. No, there's not a discount code. What I would suggest is, if you want to get some really good sunglasses, Sun God, who have I got any here? No, I haven't got any here. Sun God, who I'm now a brand ambassador for. This is major for me, actually. It's the first time someone's actually trusted me to be a brand ambassador like that. But they occasionally have deals on. So next time they've got a deal on, I'll make sure I make it known. And then if you use the link that I supply to go to Sun God, then my link doesn't give you a discount, but what it does is it lets them know that you have come from my personal link, which is really good for me, which helps me out quite a lot. But then I'll let you know when they've let me know that they've got some sort of deal on at that time. That's the best I can do. There we go. Great sunglasses though. And if you're shopping for sunglasses, Sun Gods come with a lifetime guarantee. So if you break an arm, they'll send you a new arm. Break a lens, or if your lenses are so scratched you can't see through them anymore, they'll send you some new lenses. They do prescription glasses as well, which I've had a look at the prescription glasses, and the prices are pretty much the same as the non-prescription glasses. So there you go. Great stuff. You'll find a link to my link to Sun God in any of the video descriptions. So check that out. There we go. All right, so I think that's about the size of it for today. Thank you very much to everybody who's tuned in live. Don't forget to take your spare finger and whack the like button before you leave if you haven't already. And should have this new epic video out on Sunday I'm going to change the usual time to a new usual time, which is going to be about 3 hours later. And I was thinking, for everybody who supports the channel on Patreon or through channel memberships, I was actually going to upload a rough cut of the this epic video. In fact, I could do that probably tomorrow morning. I could upload the rough cut of the video on Patreon for people on Patreon and for channel members to see. And then I'll have the final edit ready to go out on Sunday afternoon, Greek time. Thanks very much. See you soon with some more on Joyrider TV. Of course I will. Of course you will. So have a lovely weekend. Thank you very much. Don't forget to give us missions. Oh yeah, your main mission is to go out and send it on the getaway before you Oh yeah, show us your cat coming soon as well. So if you're going out sailing and your boat hasn't been on, show us your cat. Get some nice footage. Always film it landscape, not portrait, because otherwise it doesn't fill the screen. We're not making short form content here. Oh no. All right, see you soon.